All right, so we are live.
All right, Uhuru, everybody. I just want to welcome you to the Uhuru Solidarity Movement's open meeting for Days of Reparations. And my name is Wendy Snyder, and I'm really excited to be coordinating the Days of Reparations to African People Oakland event that's coming up in 9 days. And just really excited to be organizing in the white community for reparations. And this meeting is focusing. I'm really excited to be hosting this meeting for people to learn about the history of the Uhuru movement's campaigns for community control of housing back in the late 80s and early 90s up to now. And it's just part of understanding the need for reparations to African people. And so I'm going to start with a bit of an overview that will just kind of put everything in context. And then I, first want to also salute our speakers here tonight, our presenters, Comrade West Coast Rep of the African People's Socialist Party, Bakari Olatunji, and also the chair of Uhuru Foods and Pies and member of African People Solidarity Committee, Maureen Wagner. So thank you guys for being here tonight at our meeting and presenting, and just, let's get into it. So the overall context, we always salute the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And on the left is, of course, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. On the right is Deputy Chair Ona Zanele-Yeshitela, who leads the economic development work. And just who we are in Uhuru Solidarity. This is a picture actually of the Uhuru Solidarity Center that in St. Louis that was attacked, along with the chairman and deputy chair Ona being attacked, and multiple properties of the Uhuru movement. And this is in St. Louis. So, excuse me. So the principles of unity here, we work under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, and we organize in the white community for reparations to African people. It's pretty simple in a way, we stand in solidarity with African determination. Dual power, that is what the party is building. And so these are the institutions that are currently in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is really evidence as to why, the African People's Socialist Party is making an impact. And that's why they were attacked by the government, because really they exposed the empty shell of violence, that the US government is, by the fact that they're putting in place, with just grassroots, organizing these programs to serve the needs of the African people. So Black Star Industries is a vast, it's not a conglomerate, so I won't use that word. It's a vast entity that includes many organs and media outlets, including Black Power 96, the Burning Spear newspaper, the economic development of Uhuru Foods and Pies, the Aquaba Halls. It's on a lot of different fronts that's building this dual and contending power. So these are great pictures. I think at both of those. I joined the movement in the 90s. And this was the original Days of Reparations to African People, the March Walk Against Genocide. And, that was the first iteration of getting out this concept of white people's movement for reparations. And so that's the genesis of Days of Reparations. And this is Chairwoman Penny Hess, which we salute, strongly here. She was the first person to really heed the call of what it meant to build material solidarity from the white community. And so we want to salute her. I meant to also salute Chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, who's here with us, Jesse Neville, because as people know, Jesse Neville, Penny Hess, Chairman Omali Yeshitela make up the Uhuru Three. And that's the theme of our days of reparations is say no to FBI, war on Black liberation, drop the charges against the Uhuru Three. So just got to say that. So I said a little bit about the formation of Penny's involvement with building the African People's Solidarity Committee under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And so there's some pictures from that origin, which was 1976, 4 years after the African People's Socialist Party was born. And here we have days of reparation, days in solidarity with African people that became days of reparations to African people. So you can just kind of see the evolution of this. And there is going to be a march in St. Louis. So that's carrying on that tradition of marching and having that public display of reparations in action. And we just want to show, is that excuse me one sec. Jesse, is this a video? That's a video I should show, right?
No, that's just a screenshot.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. So this is just a screenshot of the brutal assault on the Uhuru Solidarity Center, and I think the point being is that now they had to attack the white members working under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, because if the truth gets out to the white community, like it's really showing the attack on free speech of African people, that we can't even stand up without becoming indicted by the government, just as Jesse and Penny have been indicted. So we've been calling for drop the charges against Uhuru 3. This been a year now that the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign led by the party has built this counteroffensive and the whole anti-colonial movement for free speech. So these are just some pictures from different actions, around the world where people are really understanding that this, the attack, if they're shutting down free speech, they're shutting down the free speech of the Chairman Omali Yeshitela. They're shutting down your free speech. They don't want you to think about actually overturning colonialism. They'll let you do, anti-racism, except, in some places they're allowing that. But, we're here as members of Uhuru Solidarity Movement as part of that counteroffensive against this government attack. And so there, Janet, there we are. That was the end of May. We had a small but mighty action in front of Grand Lake Theater calling for Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa. And that, like the slide says, this needs to become a demand of every white socialist, anti-war, anti-imperialist. So here we are with days, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3, days of reparations to African people. And we're holding this in 5 different cities, and in 9 days we'll kick off those series of events. So that's really exciting. And just to say, Days of Reparations is not just an event, it's a campaign. So we've been out on the street and just getting people involved and really in the fundraising or, the reparations work, raising money as reparations. And so we're part of that goal. Okay, so Days of Reparations raises resources for the work of the party, the Black Star Industries, and we call it Reparations in Action. And it is a stand against colonialism, like I was saying. It's not about just making things nicer and better and easier, getting along, how can we get along in this system, and be honest, about what we see, the conditions that African and Indigenous people are facing every day, catching hell. So this is our fight back against the ruling class and the government. And it's our stand of international solidarity, which is really moving. It's not a fake kind of multicultural, or like I've got friends, who are not white, and I feel really intrigued about their culture and wow, isn't this interesting? No, it's a stand of international solidarity to get colonialism off the backs of the people of the world, from Mexico to Palestine. And it's also a weapon, you know, in this arsenal of Hands Off Uhuru, because, you know, just getting white people out there on the street calling for, you know, reparations and even, you know, like this demand for reparations that is not what most people think of when they've heard about reparations, but they don't really understand it as a revolutionary demand, which is what the African People's Socialist Party has defined it as, overturning the whole system. And, you know, it's not just some payoffs or payouts. So $30,000, that's what we're raising this year towards Black Star Industries and the anti-colonial programs and institutions of the party. And here's some ways you can participate. So you can join the street team. This is a picture from St. Louis, great picture. We have 9 days, like I said, to go. You can volunteer to help this Saturday. We're having a yard sale, bake sale. It's also going to be an outreach table. And we're going to be flyering at the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival. Wasn't sure what picture to put there. The reparations phone banking team. This Sunday is a day we really want to invite people to participate in that. Calling and texting our members and contacts. These are people that have already said that they want to take a stand. We just need to remind them that this event is coming up. You know, we want them to make, you know, take a stand of reparations, you know, give what they can, definitely come to the event. And we'll have that all laid out for you. This is a picture of Uhuru Johan, who leads the postering in St. Petersburg, Florida. Pete Yarischuk, who's, I don't think he's here tonight, but he leads that work in Oakland. We need to get like a redoing of all the posters because they take them down, you know, so we need to get people involved in that. And to just make a pledge, say like, I can do such and such, I can write an email, which is one thing that I'm doing is like, in addition to yard sales and stuff, I'm just writing to my friends and family and saying, hey, you know, can you help me reach my pledge of $400 or whatever, maybe yours is 4,000. And then this is really important for people to know that this is, you know, kind of edging towards a victory, hopefully. This is the hearing. If you know people in Florida, if you can get to Florida by next week, we want people to go to the courthouse because the judge will be hearing this motion to dismiss the charges, which is incredible. That's the work of the African People's Socialist Party, making that happen so that so that's what I wanted to show you. And then this is a meeting that is going to bring all those forces together who are building the events in 5 different cities. So that's a week from tomorrow. We want people to register for that and just see the vastness of what we're doing, you know, which is hard to see sometimes when we're in just a local meeting, you know, with 5 or 6, 7, 8 people. But this is a great thing to come to if you want to just see the scope of it and really get that understanding of what we're attempting to do here with Days of Reparations. And then always, like, definitely Molly taught me is just a powerful way to get informed on the scope of what the African People's Socialist Party, the Black is Back Coalition, what is going on, like from so many different organizations of the movement, with, you know, the chairman speaking most every Sunday. And here we are back to Days of Reparations. And there's just, you know, information about the different events. So Louisville, Kentucky, Tacoma, Washington, St. Louis, St. Pete. And this is all leading to November 4th. I'm really excited to be going to Washington, D.C. to participate in the Black People's March on the White House. Find a way that you could be there too. It's going to be a historic event. And oops, thought there was another one. Yeah, that's the end of my presentation here. But I just wanted to also, excuse me. Show a video to start off just this discussion around community control of housing. So I want to show this video of the party, the history of the party on the West Coast. So just bear with me for a second while I pull that up.
I have it, Wendy, if you want me to share it.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
The African People's Socialist Party is the advanced detachment of the African working class. Since 1972, the APSP has been the custodians of the International African Revolution, bringing the masses of the African working class back to political life and placing revolution back on the table after the military defeat of the African Revolution of the 1960s. The home of the Watts Rebellion of 1965 and the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense, California and Oakland specifically, was an important center of that international African revolution. It is for that reason that the African Revolution bore the brunt of the U.S. military assault against our movement. From Oakland to San Francisco to Los Angeles to San Diego, no place experienced more state murders of Black Panthers than California. Even before the African People's Socialist Party made an official move to California, the Uhuru movement and the African People's Socialist Party had established their presence out west. Bakri Olatunji, the Western Regional Representative of the African People's Socialist Party, USA, was raised in Oakland. He notes that his first encounter with the party was a poster of Joseph Waller in the early 1970s at a local Black Panther office in Oakland. In 1972, Chairman Omali Yeshitela was invited to speak at the Second Congress of African People held in San Diego that year. The party co-founder, Lawrence Mann, spoke in his stead. This was likely the earliest presence that the party made on the West Coast. While other organizations splintered, became demoralized, or increasingly engaged reformist politics, the party was the only organization that exposed the brutal conditions of the African community in a city that bore the brunt of the U.S. governmental's brutal infestation of deadly drugs as a means of salting the earth to make sure the African working class would never rise up to struggle again. In the 1970s, a time described as a period of wartime party building, the party led many mass campaigns that revived the African liberation movement. Arguably, none was bigger than the Desi Woods campaign. This work brought the party west. With the California being a major media hub, the move to California was a successful strategy that brought increased exposure for the African People's Socialist Party. The party builds its mountain. In February 1978, Chairman Omali Yeshitela delivered the historic lecture on African internationalism at the Edison School in San Francisco, bringing the theory of the African working class to the masses in California. Later that year, Chairman Omali Yeshitela moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. This work led to the development of a Burning Spear Support Committee and subsequent party organizations in the Bay Area. In the late 1970s, poverty, homelessness, and mass incarceration had plagued the African community in California, and there was no revolutionary party to defend the African working class. Like Marcus Garvey's movement in the 1920s, the party built on the ground in California while building the only African solidarity front for the Nicaraguan Revolution. It was in California that the party organized the West Coast Free Desi Woods Committee, the African National Prison Organization, and the African National Reparations Organization. The African People's Socialist Party organized the first committee to free Geronimo Pratt and also led the fight to abolish the death penalty. This led to the creation of the March Against Genocide, led by the African People's Solidarity Committee, which had grown its presence throughout California, Oregon, and other parts of the West Coast under the leadership of the party. This era gave us the beginnings of Uhuru Foods and Pies as well. Following attacks and assassination attempts made against the party and the chairman, instigated by the ideological imperialists Prairie Fire Organizing Committee, the party tactically moved out of California and then returned to forward the revolutionary trajectory led by the African working class. Oakland becomes the headquarters. In 1981, Oakland became the headquarters of the APSP and the Uhuru movement. This marked the period of new beginnings for the African People's Socialist Party. This facilitated the growth in dual and contending power institutions, the mass recruitment into the party, and the building of mass organizations such as the aforementioned ANPO, ANRO, and later the People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, formed in Oakland. This move placed the party squarely in the center of San Francisco Bay Area's African community. This was of crucial strategic and defensive importance, as the party established campaigns to bring the African working class back into political life. It is the African working class that provides the defense forces in support of the APSP specifically, and the African liberation movement more generally. In 1981, the first Uhuru House was opened at 7622 MacArthur Boulevard in Oakland. In September 1981, the party's first Congress was held at the historic St. Augustine's Episcopal Church. St. Augustine's Church was the site of the Black Panthers' free breakfast program and the funeral for Comrade George Jackson. The Uhuru House moved to 7911 MacArthur Boulevard in late 1984 as it engaged in a fierce battle against Oakland's slumlords and neo-colonial political leadership. In summer 1984, the party launched the second Freedom Summer in African liberation movement history, the Oakland Freedom Summer Project. That fall and summer, the Uhuru movement led the community control of housing initiative known as Measure O, organizing numerous volunteers who delivered more than 300,000 flyers to the doorsteps of Oakland residents, which resulted in winning 29,000 votes on the ballot. In Oakland, the African People's Socialist Party waged a struggle against white power and the police, as well as neo-colonial petty bourgeoisie black politicians in defense of the 10,000 homeless. The party built a tent city and passed out hundreds of meals and seized abandoned homes. This work led to the establishment of the Little Bobby Hutton African People's Free Mobile Health Clinic. The mobile clinic was Bakri's entry into the party. Oakland remained the headquarters until 1993 when it returned to St. Petersburg, Florida. The party's impact was regional and international. Oakland facilitated the growth of the party throughout the African colonies in the Western region, in urban centers, and also behind enemy lines in colonial concentration camps known as prisons. Successful party campaigns, such as Black Community Control of Housing campaign, were extended to the Pacific Northwest via the party organization in Seattle, Washington. The party organized the community pushback against the colonial occupation of the African community by domestic military forces, commonly known as the police, with the call of Black community control of the police. The party supported Saigon Pen in San Diego, who killed one cop and injured another in self-defense. The party organized a mass movement in defense of Freddie Lee Roberts, an African youth accused of killing a cop in the Bay Area. These defenses prefaced the 2009 defense of Lovell Mixon. The Freddie Lee Roberts campaign facilitated Huey P. Newton's re-entry into political life. It is in the context that a rally held at the Uhuru House that Huey stated these immortal words. "You might not have the Black Panther Party, but you have the Uhuru House. You might not have the Black Panther newspaper, but you have the Burning Spear." So they haven't done anything by crushing one organization. When Huey Newton was assassinated on August 22, 1989, Bakri Olatunji was working as a nurse in the emergency room at Highland Hospital in Oakland, and he actually witnessed Huey's body being brought in after his assassination. In the 1980s, he was coordinator of the Uhuru movement's Little Bobby Hutton Mobile Health Clinic, named after another assassinated Panther. Bakri immediately called Chairman Omali Yeshitela to inform him about Huey's murder. The colonial media immediately slandered Newton as going from prime minister to bum. The Uhuru movement defended Huey, organized his funeral, served as the honor guard at his funeral, and initiated a scorched earth campaign in defense of Huey. The Uhuru movement created graffiti stencils and posters that plastered Oakland, stating, "Long live Huey," and "Huey P. Newton lives." Also chants like, "Who killed Huey? Don't tell no lie, the government, the FBI." The Uhuru movement successfully forced the colonial media to withdraw their previous slander and raised a tremendous victory for the African Revolution that has always relentlessly fought our colonizers. Oakland, Uhuru Movement in San Diego. The Uhuru Movement's early entry into San Diego was facilitated as far back as 1985 with Chairman Omali Yeshitela's defense of the Unión del Barrio and Chicano movement self-determination against attacks from ideological imperialist organizations. The party and union has held a fraternal bond for over 36 years. Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the fallen comrade Omowale Kifing, Bakari Olatunji, and others led the outreach into San Diego these years. Among the oldest of members in San Diego was the late Kwame Agomu. In 1996, Chairman Omali Yeshitela spoke at the National Rasa Unity Conference at San Diego City College, calling upon unity of African and Mexican indigenous people, and against the two-headed monster